Okay, ma'am.
So see here, what we have seen last time, AC voltage you apply, AC current flows through, primary winding turns N1, it produces magnetic field. Its direction you can find out by using right hand thumb rule. So here flux will flow through core in clockwise direction by applying right hand thumb rule. You can find out its direction. Maximum flux completes its path through core only, 95 to 98% flux. That is useful flux completes its path through core only because silicon steel, it is made up of silicon steel. Its relative permeability mu r is very high. That's why opposition offered. See here, I have written all the things. For electric circuit, R is equals to rho L by A. Metals, their conductivity is more, resistance is less, and that's why metals we use for the flow of current, like copper and aluminum. In motor, generator, and transformer, you can find copper is used because there is a size criteria. So wherever size matters, copper is used. Copper, if you are using, costing increases. Efficiency will be more compared to aluminum of copper because copper resistance is less compared to aluminum. But under the ground for the transmission of electricity, whatever the cables are used, there aluminum is used for the flow of current. Okay, because under the ground lots of space is there. So copper, aluminum, these are used because their resistance is less, conductivity is more. This is all about the metal, conductor, and current. Now about the magnetic materials and flux. There are some similarities between electric circuit and magnetic circuit. Whatever the core here in transformer, you can see square or rectangular shape like this, on which primary and secondary winding bound. So that core is magnetic circuit. Okay, so for magnetic circuit, same as that of electric circuit, in electric circuit, opposition offered to the flow of current is resistance. Similarly, in magnetic circuit, opposition offered to the flow of flux is reluctance. See, reluctance, capital S. Formula is L divided by mu 0 mu r A. Mu 0 absolute permeability, mu r relative permeability. So this mu r for magnetic material like silicon steel, cast iron is very high in thousands. In some thousands it is. So as mu r is more, reluctance, that is opposition to the flow of flux, will be less. See here, what is capital S? Reluctance. Reluctance is opposition to the flow of flux. Okay, so that will be less. And for air, its relative permeability is 1. So compared to silicon steel, air opposition will be very high. And that's why what is happening? 2 to 5% flux completes its path through air. Very less flux completes its path through air. See, 2 to 5% flux like this, it completes its path through air. It don't help in producing the output. That's why it is called as leakage flux. But 95 to 98% flux completes its path through core because core offers very less opposition to the flow of flux as its relative permeability is very high. And that's why 95 to 98% flux completes its path through core. It helps in producing the output. That's why it is called as useful flux. So useful and leakage flux is the total flux. Okay. Again, yesterday we have seen about that right hand thumb rule. So here I have written, see, conductor carrying current away from observer, cross, away from observer, cross. So rounded in clockwise direction, magnetic field get produced. So hold the thumb of right hand in the direction of current away from you. Fingers you will wrap in clockwise direction. So see, in clockwise direction round it, magnetic field get produced. Reverse is the case for another case. Okay, that is the toward the observer, that is the dot. So in reverse direction now, you hold the thumb toward you and wrap the fingers. You will find you are wrapping the fingers in anti-clockwise direction. So right hand thumb rule is used to find out the direction of magnetic field produced around the current carrying conductor. Okay, now this one. Here is the reverse case. This is the any magnetic material you can take, suppose silicon, steel, cast iron, cast steel you take, and round it you wrap one coil. If you observe here, whatever the coil is wound, I think it is in a clockwise direction. So wrap the fingers in clockwise direction. Your thumb is pointing toward left, this side. See, apply right hand thumb rule here. Your thumb will point this side. What does it mean? Thumb is pointing left side means magnetic lines of force or magnetic lines of flux, they start from this end and they will move toward another end. Means obviously left side of this electromagnet will act as a north pole and south side will act as a right side will act as a south pole. Okay, so this is like this will be the magnetic lines of force. Its behavior will be like this, and they complete the path through magnet, isn't it? Minimum resistance path they prefer always. Okay. So this is about the right hand thumb rule, how it produces magnetic field around it. So next, here. So alternating flux will flow through core. This alternating flux in contact with N2 number of turns also. E2 will get induced as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction in N2 number of turns. Here, E2. Same flux comes in contact. Now E2 get induced here in secondary winding. Secondary circuit here it is open. No load is connected across it. You can say transformer is on no load. Okay. So secondary is open here. Will current flow through secondary? As no current will flow because secondary is open here. So here see I2 will be 0. As no current is flowing on secondary, through secondary, will there be any power consumption on secondary?
No.
No power consumption. So W2, that is V2 I2 cos of phi 2 also will be 0. If you remember that in last experiment during practical you perform transformer direct loading method, where first reading you are going to take at no load. No load means no load you are going to connect across secondary, means secondary is open. So when secondary is open, although EMF get induced in it E2, which is maximum voltage, but as secondary is open, I2 will be 0 and W2 will be 0. So in first reading there, you will note I2 and W2, both the values are 0. Now consider same transformer will use, suppose here, which you have used for BEE last experiment. Consider its specification 110 volt / 220 volt. What does it mean? It's a step up transformer. Primary side voltage you are going to apply 110 volt AC and it will step it to 220 volt on secondary. So consider this no load is connected on secondary and still voltage get induced in this winding. If you connect one voltmeter here, suppose this one is the voltmeter you have connect across secondary, so it will give you some reading and that will be equal to E2, no load voltage. Consider here it is 220 volt. Means how much no load voltage get induced in secondary? Approximately this 220 volt. Every transformer it is not open. It is covered with outer metallic body. On it you will find one rectangular plate. Nameplate is there. On nameplate transformer specifications are written. So for this transformer you will find it's a 1 kVA transformer, 110 volt / 220 volt, single phase, 50 hertz. Means this is primary side voltage and this one is secondary side voltage. Whenever I say 220 volt, what does it mean on no load? Whatever the EMF get induced in secondary, that is this E2, is approximately this 220 volt. Okay, can be less slightly, 215 to 220. Okay, so this is called as no load voltage. Now voltage get induced in secondary winding. Okay, voltage get induced in secondary winding here. Now you connect some load across it. See, the moment you connect load across it, is the circuit closed one on secondary? Is circuit closed one on secondary?
Yes.
Okay, circuit is closed one. So EMF get induced E2 approximately 220 volt. Formula soon will derive for that 4.44 F phi m N2. All parameters in this equation on right hand side are constant. So E2 remains constant throughout. Load on transformer, you go on changing from no load to full load. E2 value remains constant. Okay, so why it remains constant, we'll see soon. So now EMF get induced here, circuit is closed one. Will current flow through circuit on secondary side?
Yes.
Okay, so I2 starts to flow. Now if you observe here, load is in series with secondary winding. So whatever the current flowing through secondary winding, will it be same as that of load current? Yes or no? Yes, secondary winding current and total load current is same or different?
Same.
Same it will be. Okay, same it will be. Now our current is flowing through secondary winding, through lamp also. Lamp starts to glow. What does it mean? Transformer, it transfers electrical energy from primary to secondary. See, electrical energy where you have applied across primary only. The primary and secondary winding are not physically connected to each other. They are magnetically coupled with each other. Both the windings are wound on common magnetic core. Both the windings are wound on this common magnetic core. Primary and secondary winding are not physically connected with each other. They are magnetically coupled with each other. Okay, that's why a transformer, it's a static device. It transmits electrical energy from primary to secondary with the change in voltage and current, but supply frequency remains constant. Voltage frequency on primary also and on secondary also same, you will find it. Suppose it's a 50 hertz on primary, so on secondary side also this E2, its frequency you will find it's 50 hertz. If you connect voltmeter across this lamp, you will get voltage across lamp, isn't it? So whatever is the voltage across lamp, its frequency also will be 50 hertz. Okay, so it's a static device. It works on Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Now here E2 get induced. Consider it is 220 volt. So पूरा 220 volt लैंप के अक्रॉस जाता है या लेस जाता है? Suppose 1 volt. Less. Correct. Less. Where that drop get across? Copper winding resistance. See, this is the copper winding on secondary side. Their resistance is R2. Primary side copper winding. Their resistance is R1. Isn't it? So current flowing through secondary winding is I2 and resistance of secondary winding is R2. So I2 R2 voltage drop will be there and the rest is applied to load. Means, see here I have written equation E2 220 volt you consider get induced in secondary winding turns. I2 R2 drop will take place. Consider karo that is 5 volt and the rest 215 volt get applied across load, which is called as V2 or VL. You connect one voltmeter across any load, whatever you are connecting in parallel across transformer secondary. So that voltage is called as V2 or VL. Okay, so not 100% get applied across load. Some percentage of drop will be there across copper winding resistance and the rest get applied across load. That's why this is called as voltage equation on secondary side. Okay, voltage across load V2 or VL it is marked. This is about the secondary side. Now what is happening on primary side? See, V1, I1, flux, N2, E2. This one part we have finished. Now same alternating flux. This is the alternating flux. It is completing its path through core. Is this alternating flux coming in contact with this N1 number of turns? Yes, is this flux coming in contact with N1 number of turns?
Yes.
It
Yes,
is
ma'am.
coming in contact with N1 number of turns also. So as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, flux is changing and copper winding primary turns are stationary. So EMF will get induced in primary winding as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, and that is marked as E1. Okay, so it is marked as E1. Now see here, E2 get induced in N2 number of turns and E1 get induced in N1 number of turns, and the flux is produced by primary winding N1 I1. N1 I1. So flux is produced by N1 I1. So out of it, E2 will be self or mutually induced EMF.
Mutually.
Correct, mutually induced EMF will be E2 because flux is produced by N1 I1 turns and EMF get induced in N2 number of turns. That's why E2 is mutually induced EMF. And what's about E1?
Self-induced.
Self-induced EMF because N1 I1 producing the flux phi1 and the same flux phi1 coming in the contact with the turns itself, and that's why EMF get induced. So E1 is self-induced EMF. Okay. So see here I have written E2 is mutually induced EMF and E1 is self-induced EMF. So as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, what will be the direction of these two? As per Lenz's law, what E2 and E1 will do, they will oppose the cause producing it,
Opposite.
right? So E1 and E2 get produced because of phi1. Phi1 is produced because of N1 I1. N1 I1 means current is flowing because of V1. So when you see the phasor diagram for a transformer on load, you will find E1 and E2 will act in opposite direction with V1. Got the thing? As per Lenz's law, it will oppose the cause producing it, isn't it? Means what is happening on primary side, whatever the voltage you apply, V1, how it is utilized on primary side to overcome the effect of E1 and to overcome I1 R1 drop in primary winding. And that will be the voltage equation on primary side. So see here, primary side voltage equation I have written. Whatever the input voltage you apply, it is utilized to overcome E1 and I1 R1 drop in primary winding. So voltage equation on secondary side and voltage equation on primary side, is it clear to everyone? Any difficulty with this?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
No.
Okay, okay, good. If you have any difficulty, please ask me. Okay. Next is, this is the case. See here, I2 R2 drop is there. Means what is the meaning of it? Load is connected. Means transformer is on load, isn't it? Transformer is on load. Load is connected on secondary. That's why I2 current flowing through secondary and load also. And I2 R2 drop is there. Isn't it? Means these two equations will be there when the transformer is on load. Got it? So see, when the transformer is loaded, these are the equations. Now we'll see what happens when with these equations when the transformer is at no load. Consider across secondary you are not going to connect any load. Means that is called as transformer on no load. When no load is there on secondary, can we say secondary is open?
Yes.
Secondary पे कोई load नहीं है. Means what does it mean? Secondary is open. If secondary is open, what is the value of I2?
0.
0 it will be, correct. Then in this equation on secondary side, what is the I2 R2 drop at no load?
0.
0 it will be. Then what this equation you will get on no load? E2 is equals to
V2.
V2 is equals to VL. You can say here E2 is equals to, but no load is there. That's why we can't say VL. Only V2 is E2 is equals to V2. Whatever the E2 on no load, you can call it as V2 also. Okay. What will occur with primary side voltage? Okay, so E2 is equals to V2, isn't it? This is on secondary side. Now what will happen on primary side? See, there is no load on secondary. I2 is 0. Okay, we'll see soon in transformer. Now here you also can tell me, see, suppose this one is the case, V1 we apply. Always input voltage of transformer we keep constant. Suppose it is 110 volt. Everywhere you can see input voltage to transformer, practically everywhere it is constant. Whenever we use from generation up to distribution, step up and step down transformer, so input side voltage is always constant. Okay, so V1, I told you E1 and E2 we are going to derive the expression 4.44 F phi m. Here you can see the expression. See, this is the derivation we'll take soon. 4.44 F phi m N1, 4.44 F phi m N2. Will explain you all these parameters remains constant. So all these parameters remains constant means E1 and E2 also constant. So here V1 is constant, E1 and E2 also constant here, and load you are increasing on transformer. See, पहले एक lamp connected है in parallel, then 2 lamps, 3 lamps, 4 lamps, and so on. Number of lamps in parallel. Load you are increasing on transformer. Each and every lamp is of 100 watt. So increased load requires increased power or less power?
More power.
More power
More
it
power.
requires, isn't it? So transformer has to supply more power. What's about V1 constant, E1 constant, E2 constant? If all voltages are constant, how transformer will supply increased power to increase load? Formula for power is VI cos phi. Cos phi is not in our hand. It depends on load power factor. It depends on this load. Whatever is the load, that will be related to that cos phi. Voltage to sabhi constant hai. So what transformer does? कौन सा parameter बचा है?
Current.
Current. Isn't it? Got it? So formula for power is VI cos phi. V1 is constant, E1 is constant, E2 is constant. Voltages remains constant. You go on changing load here from no load to full load. All these three voltages will remain constant. So voltages are constant, load you are increasing, increased load requires more power. So what transformer does? It takes more and more current from supply. Means I1 will go on increasing, I2 also increases, and then it supply increased power to increased load. What is the conclusion means? As you go on increasing load on transformer, I1, I2 increases. Why I2 increases? Why I1 increases? Again in detail we'll see in direct loading method. In practical for D1, D2 batch I finished that. Again in theory also direct loading method included. There will again explain to all of you. Okay, so see here I1, I2, here I can tell you why I2 increases. See, load you are connecting in parallel here, isn't it? So you go on connecting 2 lamp, 4, 6, 8, 10, 100 lamp in parallel. Means load on transformer, are you increasing? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How load get connected in series or in parallel?
Parallel.
Okay, everywhere load get connected in parallel. So here also you have to connect load compulsory in parallel across transformer. Okay, then only constant voltage will be there na, across each and every equipment, isn't it? So load get connected in parallel. Abhi consider karo 10 ohm and 10 ohm in parallel. What is the resultant?
5.
5 ohm.
5.
Means
Five.
load, if you increase load resistance, I'm not talking about on secondary side, two resistances are there. This copper winding resistance also there and load resistance also there. I'm not talking about copper winding resistance, load resistance. So what, as load on transformer you go on increasing, what's about total load resistance? 10 and 10 ohm in parallel. Resultant is 5 ohm. Load get connected in parallel. That's why total load resistance increases or decreases.
Decreases.
It will decrease, isn't it? Resistance is decreasing, voltage is constant. So what will happen with current?
Increase.
Current increases. Got the thing? Okay. So as you go on increasing, means what is the conclusion? As you go on increasing the load, I2 increases. And how I2 will increase? Transformer will take more current from supply to supply more power on secondary. That's why I1 also increases. If I1 is increasing, I2 is increasing, load you are increasing, means power consumption on primary V1 I1 cos of I1 and power consumption on secondary V2 I2 cos of I2. What's about it? Power consumption on primary and secondary will also go on. लोड आप बढ़ाते हो तो इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल कम आता है या ज्यादा आता है?
ज्यादा आता है.
ज्यादा ही
ज्यादा.
आता है. इसका मीनिंग क्या है? आप ज्यादा पावर कंज्यूम करते हो या कम पावर कंज्यूम करते हो?
ज्यादा
ज्यादा power.
Isn't it? तो W1 wattmeter reading on primary side and wattmeter reading on secondary side, that is power consumed on primary side and power consumed on secondary side, will also go on increasing. Got it? Okay. So here I1 I2 is increasing. Now means can you tell me कि ये जो I1 है वो नो लोड पे ज्यादा रहेगा या फुल लोड पे ज्यादा रहेगा? एंड सेम फॉर I2 आल्सो. कंसीडर करो कि हाँ नो लोड पे क्या रहेगा? I1 I2
मैक्सिमम रहेगा.
what we have seen up till now, load you increase, load get connected in parallel, total load resistance decreases, E2 is constant, total load resistance is decreasing, and that's why current is increasing. My question is, when the transformer is on no load, then I1 I2 will be maximum, or when the transformer is fully loaded, then I1 I2 will be maximum.
When it is fully loaded.
At full load, I1, I2 will be maximum. What does it mean? When there is no load on the transformer, I2 is 0. Just now we have seen, at no load, I2 is 0, isn't it? Because secondary open rehti hai na. So I2 is 0 at no load. And what's about then? I1 at no load? Minimum or maximum?
Minimum.
It is minimum. What the thing? R1 is also minimum. Means I1 R1 drop at no load will be minimum or very less. And that's why you can neglect that drop on no load. So see what will happen at no load? I2 is 0. That's why E2 will be equal to E2 will be equal to V2. And what is happening on primary side at no load? These two are under loaded condition and this one is about no load. So at no load, I2 is 0. That's why E2 becomes equal to V2. And what will occur on primary side at no load? See, under loaded condition, this is the equation we got. V1 is equals to E1 plus I1 R1. So at no load, I1 is minimum. R1 is also very less. Copper resistance hai. So that is also very less. That's why at no load, I1 R1 drop will be very, very less. You can neglect it. And that's why I can modify this equation on no load. V1 is equals to E1. Got the things under loaded condition and at no load?
Yes.
Okay? So means what is the conclusion? This one, first and second equation, these are the equations on secondary. This is the equation on primary when you are going to put some load on secondary side. Isn't it? When you don't put any load on secondary, that is secondary is open, then I2 is 0. That's why I2 R2 drop will be 0. That's why you will get E2 is equal to V2. And as no load is there on secondary of transformer, so I1 is minimum, R1 is already less. So I1 into R1 drop will be very, very less. You can neglect that. So at no load, I can say V1 is approximately equal to E1. Means what is the conclusion? When the transformer is loaded, primary side and secondary equations are this one you have to use. And when the transformer is on no load, that is secondary is open, you have to use this equation on secondary side and you can use this equation on primary side. That's it. Any difficulty with this? Got everything? Okay.
Yes.
So we'll go for next topic now. Now we'll see about the losses in a transformer. Now see, transformer, if you find it has primary winding and secondary winding, both are made up of what?
Copper.
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 So primary winding copper loss and secondary winding copper loss will be there. What is the resistance of primary winding? Primary winding copper resistance.
R1,
R1. Secondary winding copper resistance.
R2,
What is the current flowing through primary winding?
I1.
Current flowing through secondary winding?
I2.
I2,
So I1 square R1. Is it a primary winding copper loss?
yes,
I2 square R2. Is it a secondary winding copper loss?
yes,
Got it?
Yes.
So what is the
Yes.
total copper loss? Primary winding copper loss plus secondary winding copper loss. That is I1 square R1 plus I2 square R2. Clear? Okay. Next. Just now I told you load across transformer, how it get connected in series or in parallel.
parallel,
Parallel.
Parallel.
Consider load you are increasing, load get connected in parallel. So total load resistance increases or decreases?
decrease,
Decreases. Total load resistance is decreasing. E2 is constant. So what will happen with I2?
increase,
I2 will increase, isn't it? And I1 also increases, isn't it? E2 is increasing, I1 is increasing. Sorry, I2 is increasing and I1 is also increasing. Means what is the conclusion? As I go on increasing load on transformer, I1 also increases and I2 also increases, isn't it? Okay. This one previously also we have seen. You go on increasing load on transformer, I1, I2 increases, W1, W2 increases. Now here load you are increasing, I1 is increasing, I2 is increasing. So what happens with copper loss? Will it increase?
yes,
Total copper loss also increases. Means as you are changing load, I1 is changing, I2 is changing, copper loss is also changing. So you will call copper loss as a constant loss or a variable loss?
variable,
Variable loss. Got it? So MCQ question, which one? Copper loss, constant or variable? So it's a variable. Got the thing? Why it is called as variable loss? Okay? Because you go on changing load, increase karo load, I1, I2 increases, so copper loss will increase, variable loss. Reverse thing happen when you decrease the load. You go on decreasing load on transformer, I1, I2 decreases, copper loss will decrease, variable loss, isn't it? So this is about the copper loss, which takes place in primary and secondary winding. And how you can minimize it? By using copper only, because the aluminum, if you use, then aluminum resistance is more. So how to minimize primary and secondary winding loss, copper loss? By using copper. Don't go for aluminum. Okay. Then another loss. We have seen transformer that it has magnetic core also. Primary and secondary winding both are wound on common magnetic core. So that magnetic core, it is made up of silicon steel. So whatever the loss takes place in that magnetic core, it is called as core loss or iron loss. It is made up of magnetic material. So two types of core loss, iron losses are there: hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. Okay. So we'll see what do you mean by hysteresis loss, what do you mean by eddy current loss. Now I told you everywhere input voltage to transformer is always constant. And if input voltage is constant, then flux in the core always remains constant. Why it remains constant? Very soon I will explain to you. You go on changing load on transformer from no load to full load, but flux in the core always remains constant. Why? Because V1 is always constant. V1 you change, flux will change, but V1 practically never, no one changes. So V1 is always constant, and that's why flux in the core always remains constant, although you go on changing load on primary, no load to full load. Okay, why it remains constant? Flux in the core will soon explain you. Right now you consider flux in the core remains constant. Okay, why? Will soon explain. Now see, first of all, we'll see hysteresis loss and eddy current loss. So what do you mean by hysteresis loss? That magnetic core, it is made up of silicon steel magnetic material. It's a combination of small magnets. Every magnet has north and south pole. Now through this core, alternating flux is flowing. Alternating flux means what? Its magnitude and direction continuously changes. So what will happen? These small magnets also will align themselves continuously with the changing direction of flux. And due to this, they continuously align themselves with the changing direction of flux, heat get produced. And that is called as hysteresis loss. Okay, so this hysteresis loss, this is the formula for that. This is the hysteresis constant, capital K suffix small h. Second one is capital B, means what? Flux density. Flux density, flux per unit area. Current density, all of you know, current per unit area. Similarly, flux density, flux per unit area. Flux density is denoted by capital B. As it is a maximum flux density, suffix is M. So maximum flux density is maximum flux per unit area. Flux is in Weber, area is in meter square. So Weber per meter square or Tesla. What is frequency? It's a supply frequency, 50 hertz almost, right? All over India, supply frequency is 50 hertz. And here V, it is not voltage, it's a volume. Okay, volume of core. Hysteresis loss, where it takes place? In magnetic core. So this V is a volume of core. So this is the formula for hysteresis loss. Based on this, MCQ questions can be there. Whether hysteresis loss is directly proportional to B square or B to the power 1.67. So it's maximum flux density to the power 1.67. It is directly proportional to frequency or not. Which one is the correct formula for hysteresis loss? So this one is the correct formula for hysteresis loss. Unit is watt. Any difficulty about hysteresis loss? One more thing is there. Now, like this hysteresis, how to minimize hysteresis loss? By using silicon steel. And if you use silicon steel, how hysteresis loss get minimized? See here, like this VH, along this you take flux density, along this you take magnetic field intensity. What H is called as magnetic field intensity. What B is called as flux density. So hysteresis loop is not there in your syllabus. Just in brief, I am telling to you. When you plot like this hysteresis loop for silicon steel, you will get it for almost all magnetic material like silicon steel, cast iron, cast steel. Like this will be the nature. Shape is like this only of hysteresis loop. This one loop is called as hysteresis loop. So if you plot like this hysteresis loop for cast steel, cast iron, silicon steel, various magnetic materials, you will find ये जो area है ना, whatever the area under this hysteresis loop is least for silicon steel, and lesser the area, less will be the hysteresis losses. And that's why silicon steel is used for the manufacture of core. Why? Because if you use silicon steel for manufacture of core, hysteresis loss will be the least. Why? Because if you plot BH curve, you will find for this loop less area of this curve you will get for silicon steel, and that's why silicon steel is used for the manufacturing of transformer core. How to minimize hysteresis loss? By using silicon steel core. Any difficulty in hysteresis loss? Okay, we'll see next the eddy current loss. Another is what? Eddy current loss. Both the losses I told you it takes place in core. We are talking about the core. This core I told you initially also it is not solid, it is laminated. Thin plates, thin silicon steel plates of thickness 0.3 to 0.5 mm get manufactured. Varnish get put on both the sides of plates as an insulating material, and like this number of plates they stack together. So like this laminated core get manufactured. That core is not solid, it's laminated. Okay. Now what happens because of it? See about eddy current loss. This is the formula for eddy current loss. Ke, that eddy current constant. Then maximum flux density, same flux per unit area, it's square over here. Supply frequency, it's square. And T here, it's not time. It's a thickness of each plate. It's square. Okay, got it? In previous formula, V is volume and here T is thickness of each plate. So unit जो है upper one for previous one formula it was watt. Here it is watt per unit volume है. This one you keep in your mind. It is not in watt. It's watt per unit volume. This formula is. Got it? So this is the formula for eddy current loss. Its derivation not there in your syllabus. Only formula. Eddy current loss, it depends on which parameter, which one is the correct formula, what is the unit, with unit correct formula, like this can be the options. Now see, we are not talking about conductor and current. We are talking about now flux and core. Okay, so see, through core, all of you know alternating flux flows. That core is made up of magnetic material, silicon steel, and it is laminated. So what will happen as per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction? As alternating flux is flowing through core and it is coming in contact with each and every thin plates which are separated by insulating material. So in every plate, EMF get induced. Okay, we are not talking about current and conductor. We are talking about flux and core. Okay, so here also you can apply for flux and core also you can apply Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction. Because of that, EMF get induced in each and every plate of core. This will be very less. This will be very less. Now EMF get induced in every plate. That every plate is a complete path. And that's why the moment EMF get induced in every plate, current starts to flow through every plate of core, which is called as eddy current. Okay. And as that current is flowing through each and every plate means that there is an insulating material between every adjacent plate, isn't it? Varnish. So what is happening? Whatever the eddy current flowing in one plate, it will not flow through another plate. Okay, because varnish is there, insulating material. So each and every plate is offering some opposition to the flow of this current, eddy current. and that is, suppose consider resistance of each plate core. So AD current, its square into resistance of each core plate is called as AD current loss. Means alternating flux is flowing through core. As per Faraday's law of electromagnetic induction, EMF get induced in every plate of core. Because of it, as the circuit is closed one of every plate, current will flow through every plate of core. And as current is flowing, some opposition will be offered to the flow of that current, and that is called as AD current loss. Means opposition offered, that is resistance, and because of that heat get produced. Wherever there is a opposition, some amount of heat get produced, isn't it? And that is called as AD current loss. So here, what is happening? You are not using solid core, you are using laminated core, isn't it? If thin plates separated by varnish. So as you have used laminated core rather than solid core, means cross sectional area you have minimized. So as cross sectional area you minimize here, what's about resistance will be more. As that plate is offering more opposition, less AD current will be flow. It's a square of current is there. That's why this total loss get reduced. What is the conclusion? Means if you are minimizing the area by using laminated core, AD current loss will be less. And that's why how to minimize AD current loss? Rather than using solid core, use the laminated core. Clear up to this to everyone? Any difficulty with this? Miss, what is, yes, please.
Laminated means actually what?
That
Solid
previously
and
also, previously also I told you, see, ये जो core है ना यहाँ पे, this one core, ये देखो, ये इसका vertical limb है, ठीक है? ये ऐसी एक प्लेट मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं of this dimensions, ठीक है? इसका थिकनेस रहता है 0.3 mm to 0.5 mm. ये एक प्लेट हो गया. फिर दूसरा ये हॉरिजॉन्टल भी लगेगा अगर रेक्टेंगुलर है तो, ठीक है? सो ये ऐसे भी मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं ऑफ सम डायमेंशंस. एंड ये जो प्लेट्स रहती है हॉरिजॉन्टल वर्टिकल, इट्स थिकनेस इज 0.3 to 0.5 mm silicon steel. And on both the sides they put varnish. Varnish means what? It acts as a insulating material. Means whatever the AD current flowing in one plate, it will not flow in adjacent plate. And like this, suppose 20 number of plates or 50 number of plates, they stack together depending on size of transformer. And फिर वो larger one core manufacture करते हैं, but that core is not solid. पूरा एक सिलिकॉन स्टील लेके पूरा कोर नहीं मैन्युफैक्चर करते हैं, thin plates का वो stack together. Okay, so this is called as laminated core. Got the thing?
Yes, ma'am. Okay.
So what is the conclusion? Means two types of losses: copper loss, iron loss, that is core loss. As you go on increasing load, I1, I2 increases, that's why copper loss increases. Means it's a variable loss. Hysteresis loss, AD current loss, I told you hysteresis loss you can minimize by using silicon steel. AD current loss you can minimize by using laminated core rather than solid core. Okay, so I told you input voltage is always constant. That's why flux in the core always remains constant. How? We'll see in next lecture soon. As flux in the core remains constant, now you see the parameters. Flux in the core remains constant. Once you manufacture a transformer, cross-sectional area is constant, its volume is constant, this is itself a constant, frequency, supply frequency 50 Hertz constant, means all parameters are constant. So hysteresis loss is constant. Here also the same thing, see, flux density will be constant as flux in the core remains constant because input voltage V1 is constant, frequency constant, this K itself is a constant, and thickness of plate. Once you manufacture a transformer, this one is also constant. So AD current loss is also constant. What does it mean? If V1 input voltage you are going to keep constant, and that is the case practically from generation up to distribution, flux in the core remains constant, and that's why this loss, iron loss and core loss, you will call it as a constant or variable.
Constant loss.
Constant
Constant.
loss. Okay, so why flux in the core remains constant in next lecture and even E2 derivation. Okay, so this is all about the losses. So can I stop?